like start though. Like, what's up, guys? We got Jessel here.
What's up?
Good friend, track guy.
Yeah.
The homies.
So I guess to start, we gotta start with something. We're gonna start with favorite water, like water brand, or
I was thinking like bottled water. Like what bottled water is your go-to? If you go to a gas station, which bottled water are you gonna get?
Well, does LaCroix count?
No.
Well, if I can't pick LaCroix, I would have to go with Smart Water.
Smart water.
Okay.
Like that little nipple on the tip.
Yeah.
Those are satisfying to drink out of.
No, they're nice
That's-
because you can save that bottle for later too.
That's
You don't
exactly.
have to just like drink
No.
that. Yeah.
Well,
It's an investment.
can I take one back actually?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I like
your pocket.
I like Essentia, those big bottles,
Mhm.
because I used to buy those every other week and reuse them because they're huge. And
Yeah.
it just the
Quality
bottle
is
kinda looks
good,
cool.
yeah.
Okay.
But they're not they don't have the nipple though. What about you guys though?
I do tap water most of the time, but at the gas station, if I'm getting water, which water is free, so I don't know why I'm getting water from the gas station, but I'd probably do like Fiji, just because like
Bougie.
it's bougie, bro, but like it's fire.
Do you
Yeah.
drink straight off the tap, or do you get like
Straight out of the tap.
straight out of the tap?
All right, actually, after Colin goes, I have a question.
Okay. I would say I'm a big Poland Springs type of man.
Poland Springs.
Yeah. So it's in Maine is where we get a lot, and like I don't drink a whole lot of bottled water other than up there because we live on a lake, and that's the water you get from the tap. You can't drink lake water.
Yeah.
And so that's like my go-to water. And it's the same thing as I don't know the brand up here. It's the same brand. It's called Poland Springs up there. It's like not Ice Mountain.
Oh
Whatever
yeah.
that
Is it Spring Mountain? or
It's
something?
literally just
Mountain
water.
Springs or something.
Yeah.
But my question was like, does water have a taste or is it
Oh,
temperature?
Yes, water has a taste.
Water
What
has
is
a
the
taste.
temperature?
Is
I
it,
think
is it the
it's-
temperature that makes it
No,
taste
just
different?
there's like you telling me.
You take the same water, you put it in the freezer, and you take the same water and it's room temperature. The freezer water tastes better.
I mean, yes, but
Yeah, it's the same
but
water.
You put
But-
out. Yeah, it might be the same water, but like at the same time, different waters have different tastes. So I think it's the water has taste.
But
Like-
temperature dictates it.
I would
No.
rather have a cold LaCroix versus cold water, but if I'd rather drink warm water than a warm LaCroix.
Like if you can't look me dead in my eyes and be like, you would still rather take an ice cold Dasani over a room temperature tap water. Dasani makes you more thirsty. I drink it and I'm like SpongeBob, like water. Like I need more.
Did you know there actually was like
Just
a
no shot.
I don't know if it's conspiracy or what, but there's like they put like sodium, like one of the ingredients in Dasani is like there is like some type of like sodium, which is like to kind of like keep the water fresh, but like in a way
It's
say
almost
it
makes
makes
you
you
thirsty.
a little bit thirstier.
It's like Gatorade. It's
yeah.
like quench your thirst, but actually makes you more thirsty.
Yeah.
You drink more of Gatorade.
But one
Yeah.
tastes good. One tastes like I rub my nuts all over it. That's what Dasani tastes
I mean, that would make it salty.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's valid.
like. You mentioned LaCroix, and you're obviously drinking LaCroix. Why?
Well, I mean, I talked with Jess about this on the way to the track meet.
Yeah.
I said I think part of it is because a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah.
I realize, but I actually do like the flavor. I like that
The
there's
flavor. Interesting.
I like how there's not that much. Like when I crave something, I don't know. I just like crave them, and then the whole thing of like I open my fridge, I just see a lot of LaCroix. I gotta pick one, and then the satisfaction of just opening it. It's like I'm drinking pop, but I'm not.
But with
Yeah, but you are though,
Negative.
because it does have carbonation.
But like pop to me is sugar. This has
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Essence.
That's what this is.
It's
Yeah.
okay, only, and that's highlighted. Only carbonated water, naturally essenced.
Yeah.
Naturally essenced. So whenever I like, if I'm like a LaCroix factory, this is what I imagine they do. They grab their raspberries and their strawberries, or whatever flavor that is. Cherry.
Lime. Cherry
This
lime.
is-
strawberry lime.
Cherry blossom.
So
Cherry
cherry
This is
blossom.
the best kind.
They take their cherry blossom. They have the can of LaCroix. They have it open. They do a little bit of a, and then they throw it out. That's how they
Yeah.
flavor their LaCroix.
I don't like it because every time I try to drink it, I'm like, this time it's gonna have more flavor.
Yeah.
This is the time, and it always has no flavor.
I've asked you to try this kind yet.
I have. Yes, I
Have you tried
that.
this kind?
Probably. I mean, I'll try it again, but like I'm
Every
starting to
time
change
you
my.
think
Give it a
it's
rating.
good.
Give it a rating. This to me is like this is for LaCroix. It's about a 9 out of 10. I'd say.
That's crazy.
For LaCroix rating, not like overall.
So I do have gum in. So that didn't make it taste any better.
Yeah. Well, gum just change it.
Yeah, it does have more flavor. That could just be the gum speaking
Yeah.
and it just like clashing flavors. It doesn't taste good, but I think that's the most flavor I've had in LaCroix, period.
This in the like lime, chili lime, maybe. These are the best ones.
Chili lime?
Chili?
I might be wrong.
Is
I
it
think
like spicy or
no.
It's gotta be spicy. It's chili lime. It's like
I don't-
cocky
it wasn't
flavor.
chili lime is like
Maybe I'm
something.
saying it wrong.
Yeah, it's not chili lime. Dude.
I feel like I would go to like B-Dubs and get chili lime wings.
Yeah.
It's
Not like-
something limon, so it's got lime in it, lime flavor in it. Oh no, it's cherry lime, I think.
It's like spicy water.
Cherry lime. It's not chili lime.
I don't
it's
know.
Cherry lime.
I could be wrong.
What does it taste like?
Just good.
You can't tell
Like,
because there's no taste.
It tastes like LaCroix.
All right.
All right. Yeah. It's like what's like what do you guys have against LaCroix? Like
I think it's just like there's no flavor. I just feel like there's no like effort put into the drink.
well, water doesn't have flavor.
I know, but I'd rather drink water. I just don't
benefits
understand the
to water.
difference. You know what I'm saying? Because like this is like fake flavor, and water has like flavor. Yes.
Well, there isn't flavoring. It smells that's naturally us.
So whenever
It's more expensive than water too.
$3 for a pack of 8 or 12, I think.
More
Which isn't terrible actually. It's more like
More-
4, but
I don't like any carbonation whatsoever. So like I'm sure that's what's doing it for me. Like if you gave me that flavor in just like a water bottle
Yeah.
with no carbonation, I'm sure like I'd be more on your side. I also hate carbonation.
well, I used to hate just carbonated water in general, like no flavor. But one other day I accidentally got like carbonated water, like from like you can get free water cups.
Mhm.
I got carbonated water and I was like, this low key bussin'.
No,
And
it's
like
not.
I like it now.
First off, where were you at that they gave you carbonated water?
Cap break for those captains.
Well, no, but it was literally like some random lake. I don't remember where it was for like our family went to the Lake Leroy.
Clinton?
No, the lake out in Leroy has a lake.
Oh, not Clinton. Dawson.
Yeah, there was like a little food place there, and
Yeah.
they had water
Water-
there that was
Water?
carbonated.
Oh, did not know that.
I didn't get it on purpose, but then I realized I liked it.
Would you get it again
Yeah.
over normal water?
No.
It's kind of like one of those things I would like get a cup of it, and then drink normal water, or like I would get a cup of normal water, chug that really fast, and then like this I like to enjoy sipping on. Like I don't chug these. Like I would chug the water and then sip on the bubble water.
So Jessel, what's going on in your life recently?
Oh, nothing much. Just working at Fleet Feet. Gotta rep the brand. Have it on me right now. Yeah, just worked from 10 to 4, and then Caleb's girl, whatever. I don't even know what the name is. And Maddie came in, and they like got shoes for running. So it's been nice though. I like today. I ran into someone that was like a Christian, and she was saying how. So our husband just died this week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but then she just came in and with like so much laughter and joy, and I was like, that's weird. So like at first she was just like really excited her friends were here. They were just like joking the whole time. So then I go in and help them. I'm like, hey, so like what do you need? And then she's like, I need shoes, whatever. So I was like, okay. And then I like took her 2 shoes. We like started doing stuff, and as she was doing it, she was like, hey, I make jokes, like cruel jokes. I just make jokes. So then just to go along with it, you can snap back if you want, just like go with it, whatever. I was like, all right. So then she just starts making jokes, and she starts like making fun of me a little bit, and then I'm just like I go back, and I'm just making fun of her. And then like as the conversations go, I realized she's just like her friends are here because there's a funeral for her husband, and I was like, they've been married for 20 years, and I was like, dang, like you're not like sad? I would be like mourning over this. Why are you not grieving? She's like, I haven't cheated, I have peace. And I was like, wow. I was like, that is insane. Like you've been with this guy for 20 years. And she's like, he's my soulmate. I thought she was like kind of happy that he died and she got the money or something. I was just thinking negative things, but it was like no, like she had the peace that Jesus had, and then she was just like excited with it. She was cussing a lot, but that's beside the point. It doesn't mean that she's not saved.
Yeah.
But then as she was leaving, she's like, hey, what's your name? I was like, my name's Jessel. And she's like, oh. And then she like gave me a hug. She was like, can I give you a hug? And I was like, yeah. I gave her a hug, and she just prayed a blessing over me. And I was like, what? Get out of here.
Awesome.
So yeah, it was good. Yeah, good energy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess let me get down to it. You want to talk we both kind of know, but like, you want to talk more about the story you've been telling us that's related to like your life, basically, that's related to how you, or Daniel 3, like
Daniel 3.
we're
Oh,
talking about like
the
your
financial
faith,
situation and all that, or
if you want, yeah.
Just
Just
about
like-
your kind of like past and upcoming or coming up or whatever you want to call it in your faith.
okay,
Just,
yeah.
like, a little bit about you.
So yeah, I mean, I was always born in the church, and so my dad got saved in India, and my dad's dad got saved, and then he got saved, and then I got saved through him, and so we went to church always. But then like when I was 12, I was like, I really like this Jesus thing, so I like got saved, but like I didn't really know the full extent of what that meant, you know. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna be saved.
Yeah.
And then a couple years go by, I start getting into the world stuff because it's like really easy, and I was like super innocent as a kid. I didn't know anything about anything. Like I didn't know anything about like sex. I didn't know anything. I don't know if this is but
Not
yeah.
for kids.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about it. So I had a friend that in 7th grade started introducing me to that. He would just like tell me things. And I'm like, wait, what? And I was like, oh, one time I remember like I was in orchestra. I was an orchestra kid. And and he was telling a girl that she like, when's she gonna get in her period or whatever.
Oh,
And then I was over here like, oh, I haven't gotten my period yet. And then he was like, wait, you don't get on periods. I was like, oh shoot, I didn't realize. You know, like I was that oblivious. I was that innocent. But like all that was kind of like low key like stripped away as I like was friends with this guy, because I would start cussing, I would start doing things. And so then fast forward a couple of years, I like start like diving into God again. I'm like, all right, I actually want this. Like now I understand it. When I was 12, I didn't really understand it. So then I start diving in, and then I actually come to college, and then I like fall off again, because like in college I was like, I've always been around my parents. So at college I could do whatever I wanted to do. All right, I'm just gonna go and do whatever I wanted to do, and that led me down like a really slippery slope. But then just recently I've just like started getting back into God's word, getting back into what He had for me, and I just felt like God's pressing my spirit to be like a missionary and go to Africa. So hopefully that's the end goal. So as of right now, just graduate from college, and then after that, just go to the mission field. That's a big goal. Naomi, shout out to my girlfriend. She she's been supporting me through it, and it was kind of crazy how like I like told her, and she was just like on board for it, and I was like,
It's wifey material.
Huh? I know, that's what I'm saying. I was like, I was telling her, I was like, hey, like this is what my calling is, but if you feel like it's not yours, then like this is where we part ways, type of thing.
Oh wow.
And kind of was just like, because like it's not gonna work if like I'm wanting to go to the mission field, she's gonna stay here, and it's just gonna be like a divide between us, whatever. And she was like, well, she was reading a book called Radical, and she was reading, and it said that everyone is called to go out. The Great Commission says to go out into all the world and make disciples.
Yeah.
And she's like, so it doesn't mean that like I have to be verbally called by God. I can be called regardless of if I got verbally called or not. And I was like, dang, you're right. And so she's like, I'm down. And I was like, dang, okay. I was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a pretty solid story, I guess.
Yeah.
Not I guess. I think it is.
So you said a little bit more recently, you started taking it more serious.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit.
Yeah.
Whatever behind that.
Yeah, so like I started reading the Bible more and start praying to God more. Started taking it seriously, and just like, you know what, this is something that like I need to be strong in if I'm gonna go somewhere. It's nice to say, oh, I'm gonna be a missionary, but what does that entail, type of thing. Yeah. I can't just be like kind of like lazy with my faith. I can't be like, oh, I'm just like half in. Like if I'm being a missionary, I'm dropping everything. I have to be all in now. Yeah. Because like it starts now. So as I'm like going through life, I'm just like constantly reminding myself that this is just a start. Like it's gonna suck when you're a missionary. It's like right now you can say it and everyone's like, yeah, bro, you're gonna be a missionary. But it's not that hype when you're in Africa in the middle of like you have no food and you're like no water and you're like, well, God, you put me here. Like what am I supposed to do? Yeah. Right. So like that's why I'm just like I just feel like God, as I'm like going to college and like struggling financially, he's been helping me like as like so freshman year I'm here on a visa. So I'm not a U.S. citizen. So freshman year when I was trying to figure out where I want to go to school, I was like telling not freshman year, but in high school, whenever I was trying to figure out where I want to go to college, I was like asking my dad, and my dad was like, well, the government's not going to help you. And I was like, dang, college costs a lot. Like I need some help. And then he was just like, since it's like I can't get a job. He was like, I'll pay for under half, but I guess all I can do. And I was like, well, Dad, that's a lot. I'm grateful for that, but like I need more. I need more than under half. And I was like, how am I supposed to make that money? But it was just like throughout that, he didn't teach me. He was just like, you don't need loans. You just need me. And I was able. Sometimes I just like sit still in my room and just trust him. He's provided ways, right? And I'm 3 years in and I have no loans. And so it's just like I feel like as this is building up, and I'm still struggling, but like I know that my God is good and that He's helped me before. So I just know that this faith is just going to continue growing and maturing. And I'm just going to run this race with endurance, and I'm just keep trusting Him because I know that He did it before, He can do it again, type of thing. And that like regardless, He has a plan. So yeah, I've just been able to kind of like lean on that, and I just constantly tell myself that I'm struggling, just like this is just the beginning. This is just gonna get you more faith, so just keep trusting God, So yeah.
That's fire. Awesome. Do you have any like specific verse or verses that you come back to a lot, or even like a song maybe that's like helped you? Like maybe not just in general, kind of. There's not something what you're doing anything right now, but like I guess it could be your favorite too. It just has to be.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Verse, something that I could love.
We can come back to it too.
Yeah, we should. Cause I have a song that I always listen to, but I'm just like blanking on the name of it.
You can sing it for us.
Let's see. We'll come back to it. I think it'll pop up.
All right. This is what happens when you don't plan anything.
Yeah. So obviously, we're all on the track team together.
Yeah.
What are your goals for this year? I guess obviously cross season is still underway too, but for track and cross.
One thing I decided that I'm gonna try differently than not like the world preaches, is rejoicing always, and almost thinking of this as my last run, which it is. It's my last lap around the track, whatever, because it's like. But just like rejoicing and just being like, God, if your will is for me to be the worst runner on the team, then let it be. And I'm just kind of like trying to just like trust God and just because like we've been preaching in FCA in our school, right? We've been preaching how like it's do sports God's way. Let's do it God's way. That's our goal. Our goal should be what God's goal is. And I just feel like if we're preaching that, we need to kind of embrace that in ourselves. Like we need to be like, all right, instead of being like, I'm gonna stay hard, I'm gonna do this. It's like, all right, God, I'm gonna do my best, but this is your glory. Like I'm gonna try to do it the way you want me to. So that's what I've been trying to embrace with cross country too. Just like obviously it sucks whenever you like put all this work in the summer and you're not where you want to be. You're not like top 7. You're not top. You're not up there. But you're just able to just keep like I've been able to have that peace, rejoice, be like God, you woke me up this morning. I don't. This is not guaranteed. There was a kid in Elmhurst that died like recently in his sleep, which is kind of crazy and it shook like everyone because they didn't realize. But it's like I've kind of known this from the beginning. Like God has told us from His Word that tomorrow's not guaranteed. Why worry about tomorrow? But we've always worried about it. We're like, oh, I can't wait till track season comes. I can't wait till this happens. But it's like you don't get that.
That's true.
Like you're grinding for that, but like might as well not grind for that because you don't know if that's gonna happen. So I'm just able to just kind of like be like one moment at a time. Just like whenever it's a workout at 5 a.m, I'm just like, hey Justin, you won't get this next time. Like this is like you're coming down to it's easier whenever it's about to close and like you don't have another year and you're not able to bank on another year. But like just like all right, this is fun. This is rejoice over it because these are good moments that you're not gonna get later. So I'm just like kind of just having fun with it, not taking it lighthearted. Just be like, God, you do the rest. I'm doing the work, and you take care of the rest. So
I love it's perspective too. Like you were just saying, like it doesn't matter. Like ultimately, it doesn't matter. It just matters like if you're doing it for the right reasons, pretty much.
Exactly. So, and the way you do it glorifies God. Yeah. And then people are able to see that and they're like, Jessel's like the worst runner on the team, but like he's able to be happy and enjoy this. Like what is it? So. Yeah. So what's different? Type of thing. So that's true. But they're able to see that I put work in, so I feel like it's just works both ways.
Yeah. Fair. And I mean, you kind of said too about like you're not guaranteed the next day, but I feel like some people might take that as like, I just want to say, it's not like a sad thing, and like
Oh yeah.
Like some people I feel like think like like, that which makes it kind of like beautiful, I guess, in the fact that if you're just living in the moment, like, and just doing it day by day, then what that thing that you would normally be looking forward to is just gonna happen like naturally and be like happen. It's gonna happen no matter what, pretty much. You don't like worrying about it, like we said. Like he said, doesn't like you don't need to worry about it.
I agree.
And
Yep.
yeah, just cool to think about.
Yeah, I actually came up with the verse that I like. All right, I didn't come up with it. It's in the Bible.
There's a Bible right there too. If you.
I don't know
remember
where
exactly.
it's at, but I can look it up on my phone. I don't want to misquote it, so let me just look it up real quick. Okay. Give me 3 seconds.
Alrighty. Well, I thought of an idea. We can keep this in or not for the next time we do an opener.
Okay.
We can see who can come up with the best asthma sounds, but we just kind of have to freeball it.
Okay. Interesting. What did you just call it, by the way?
Asthma.
Asthma? Okay.
Is that's what I call it?
ASMR?
ASMR, bro.
But I call it asthma.
I don't care what you call it. That's not what it's called.
What does the
That's how
people
it's
call it?
Okay, is asthma? Does nobody say asthma?
No one says
No.
asthma. It's ASMR.
I've never heard it. I've heard. I swear I've heard asthma.
No,
I mean, I've just never heard
Alright.
anyone say it. ASMR.
should we kind of like try to start speaking now, or
All right, yeah. So, I guess wait for like get to the mic.
Kind of also like mooning. Not mooning.
And we can always cut that out, possibly. But I mean,
Alright.
Being real. All right, Jessel, what's your favorite verse?
All right, my favorite verse is it's an amplified version right now. I don't.
Amplified's kind of
Amplified is fire, but I just feel like to get to the point. Let me
Yeah.
just read it. All right, that's okay. The verse that I keep telling myself, and I'm trying to make sure my heart posture is here. It says, "For me," so it's Philippians 1:21. It says, "For me, living means living for Christ, and dying is even better. But if I live, I can do more fruitful work for Christ. So I really don't know which is better. I'm torn between two desires. I long to go and be with Christ, which would be far better for me. But for your sake, it is better that I continue to live." That's just something that Paul said to the Philippian church. And just constantly trying to remind myself that, like, at the end of the day, if I die, it's gain because I have Jesus.
Yeah.
But I'm here for a reason, so why should I live a reason that's selfish? Because I'm here for everyone else's sake.
Yeah.
I'm here to glorify Christ and try to get them closer to God.
Is that the verse, or is it a different verse that? Is it like I don't know if that maybe just a different version, but it literally says to live is I can't remember, to live is something and then to die is gain. Like, is that the same verse?
I
or
think
is that
so.
just a different verse?
It might be a
Might be-
different translation.
Is it really?
It might be. I don't know. What
I think
translation
it's-
do you
I don't know if that.
I read the.
It just sounds super similar.
NLT,
I think it might
ESV
NSV,
or ESV.
ESV.
because I mean either way it's pretty much saying the same thing.
I think it is.
Yeah, that one's a really good one.
21. It says, "For me to live is Christ and to die is gain."
Yeah, that's the one that's why I've usually like heard it.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So,
Yeah. That's a good one.
I like NLT.
Yeah,
I think
me
I
too.
just understand it better.
Me too, usually. And I got the Ant Bible. That helps a lot. But
I
we can
like
take one.
having just several different at my fingertips. It's like I when I do it, I try to have two Bibles open, like two different translations, because it's not annoying, but it's like my journal Bible that I've been reading a lot is it NLT. Like I love the NLT, but I couldn't find an NLT journal Bible. I'm sure you can, but it was like some of them were like they're pink and they're girly. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like I want to carry around a pink Bible.
Yeah.
And so I just got the ESV one, and like I carry two around now. But like just having two that, because one translation makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
one doesn't. But like one can also like help amplify, like help whatever the other. And it's like cool because like the NLT it's like the most accurate to our today like understanding. Like it like it's in our today's words. Like it's still truthful. It's not like there's some not so good translations out there that like try to do that, but like get the message very, very wrong. It still keeps that message, but like at the same time, whenever like there are not some stuff that it misses, but some stuff where it like doesn't do the best job at explaining it, and that's when you go back to the ESV. Like when the ESV is like, this is like way too old school wording for me. Hop back to the NLT.
Yeah,
that's something that I've not always done. Like I've tried to do the more I get more Bibles. It's also annoying because I have to carry on 7 Bibles sometimes.
I know my Amplified one's huge. But did you guys know there's at least I feel like I've heard this. There's a Bible you can get that was written in like Ebonics and slang, like in English. So it's like it's literally like how we would be speaking. It would have the words
slang.
like finna and like
Yeah.
stuff like. I don't know if that's like.
I'm finna break this bread.
It's busted.
As my
this,
body.
this bread's busted.
And I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's like a full Bible or if that was just a meme I saw, but like I definitely have heard there's something like that.
I've heard of it too. But like I also heard of that TikTok. Have you heard of the worship music?
Yeah.
The TikTok is
Your love is busted.
yeah.
But how would you guys say
The
John
devil ain't
3:16?
got no riz.
How would you guys say John 3:16 in Ebonics or slang?
The entire verse?
Yeah, like
For God so
for God.
God so loved the world, he gave his only
For God,
God so loved the world, he gave his favorite child. No.
he gave his lit son. He gave up his one and only lit son.
and who shall ever
To any of y'all that don't mess with that do mess with him. Don't live no cap. Any of you guys that mess with him for life will have eternal life.
will have W life.
For so my homie God loved the world.
For so my homie God.
Gave his only
Only boy? No.
Gave up a brother. No, it wouldn't be brother. But...
Trust, bro. But
Trust.
that's like it's still like the same though. It's like
It's harder than I thought it would be to come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe John 3:16 is just like not one that we can do. What's another one?
But I feel like I also don't use a lot of slang.
Yeah,
I feel
Not like that.
Yeah. Because some of them is just like busting. I use it sometimes, but it's not like I'm always saying. Like sometimes I just say it's good.
yeah. What do you guys think about when people call God daddy?
They have the great mindset. Don't do it in public.
I don't like it either.
Don't do it in public.
But I understand. But I think it's more the negative, what people associate the word daddy with.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we get dirty minds.
Well,
Yeah.
also, so I went to a youth convention. Don't remember what it was. Like, I went like every single year in my high school. And the dude up there, like, you know, he was, it was like kind of like the part where they kind of like start repeating like lyrics and kind of like make their own song type thing. And he just started like saying daddy. And I was like, I was in this moment. No, I'm not. Like
Yeah.
it makes sense because you're like he is your dad,
Endearment,
and it's
yeah.
And as a kid, you
like,
call
as a
him
kid
dad
you call your
daddy.
dad daddy, and like that's
Yeah.
fine. But it's just like
I think if it's like the Bible says like don't lead someone astray, like not astray, but like if this is like tempting to someone, don't tempt them to laugh. Like I just feel like
Yeah.
your word choice shouldn't be something that's like it could get them to think about all right, like this other thing.
Yeah.
But I can say in a closed room if that's like
Mhm.
endearing for you, you can say
Yeah.
it's straight up catching all the train horn.
Well, let me use this moment. I feel like this might be more lighting. I don't know how it looks.
I definitely think we're decreasing on lighting. Like
Yeah.
we're just like
As it's going on.
we're losing light.
We're stopping a lot in the middle of this one.
I know, but I mean, I can actually edit this stuff. But we're also just being real.
What was I gonna say?
I just think like you cut it, everything happens. You know what I'm saying?
I might just leave it
You
there.
know what I'm saying? Like you cut it and then it's like boom, boom, that light's on.
This is definitely when we don't have questions, it does not flow as smooth. Like, if I at least have a general idea of where I want things to go, like I'll come up with a question, but I can like phrase it in a way that directs that the next question will be what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
But right now, I
agree.
It's like
that's what we did with Jake.
yeah.
That's why I try to talk more to give you guys more room to like
Just think.
kind of like elaborate on something because I'm like if I go too deep for everything, then they won't have questions.
Well,
So I try to like gloss over a little bit.
I'll get a question and I'm like, I can't just sit here and think about the question. I have to actually listen.
Yeah,
And then when you're done, I'm like, that was really good, but I don't remember my question anymore.
that's alright.
If you want, also you can.
Ask us.
Yeah,
things.
it's like
we can talk
it's
about.
not just a Jessel interview. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
It's for us to talk.
We can talk about the world. You know.
All right,
Did you guys see the floods in? Is it Libya? It literally I think they killed thousands of people.
What?
Like the floods were like absolutely insane.
Oh,
Is Libya by the Nile River?
I'm not sure actually, but I mean the one river is drying up, Euphrates. Apparently.
I saw that. That's interesting.
That's what the Bible says.
Yeah. But also, it's kind of great. It gives us signs, but it also says we have no idea. Obviously, we don't know God's timing.
Yeah.
So like whenever I see videos of people like predicting the date, I'm like,
It says
There's-
we'll never know.
yeah.
Not even Jesus knew.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
Well-
you can try predicting if you want.
I think it's pointless.
It is
and like you
pointless,
said, don't
yeah.
worry about the
Exactly. There's other things
live
to
day
worry
by
about.
day.
Which is kind of cool. One thing that is happening is the Bible is being translated in all the languages.
Yeah, it's
the
almost
first time.
It's almost all of them. Ever.
Almost
Yeah.
all of them.
For
For the
real?
first time, everyone's gonna have access to the Bible
That's cool.
in human history.
I think it's like the last few languages are like starting translations. Like they're not done, but like they're.
I
in
think
the
it's like
process.
Project Bible or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
The Bible. Either
The
Bible
Bible
Project?
Project. Bible Project.
The Bible Project.
It's
or
it's
something.
by the app. It's the same.
It's by
Because
the
I have the
YouVersion
app.
guy.
I downloaded it because someone said to get it because it's cool, but then I never opened it,
Mhm.
so I don't really know what it is.
If you haven't opened the Bible app.
No, the Bible Project app.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
think meant the Bible app.
I
Yeah.
have the Bible app. I love the Bible app.
So, speaking of kind of like him coming again, I saw a hilarious, not hilarious,
Hilarious.
meme. It was a funny meme that was like, with my luck, I'm gonna propose to my wife, and I'm gonna hear trumpets the second. She says yes. It's like
Yeah.
it's exactly like what you read, like what that Paul was saying. It's like it's a bittersweet because it's like there is so much like I feel like I can do and like I'm called to do like all this stuff like
Yeah.
raising a family, like bringing my kids closer to God, like seeing my friends and my family like that. But it's like also like almost like a selfish way. It's like I can go to heaven and spend eternity with God.
Yeah.
So it's like it's both. But I saw that and I was like, that's tough because like there are like worldly goals, not even worldly goals, but like stuff like goals on this earth that like I still want to do that. Like
Yeah.
both.
It does become worldly goals though at that point, you know.
I mean, yeah.
A
Like
little bit.
there's nothing like
Yeah.
wrong about them,
It's
but they're
not,
just of
yeah.
the world because you're not really married in heaven.
There's
That's
one
why-
thing
I
the
don't
Bible
even
also
know.
says. I think Paul says it, and I was with Jordan this week because we went and like talked about like some problems I was having and like also some like relationship advice. Because I was like, well, I want to learn how to do it the Christian way, and I was struggling like with the sexual side of it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna ask someone that's already done it. So I went to Jordan and he said there was a scripture, and I'm like, I don't remember where it was, but it says not I can do everything, but not everything is good for me. Yeah, not
Yeah.
everything is beneficial.
Mhm.
So you can, it's like having a family and all that, yes. And that's why sometimes Paul even says like,
Yep.
it's better to be single.
So
He says it's better to be
do I have
single.
a Bible? I'm not gonna get it, but in
That's right.
it, I wrote in my notes, or I about wrote down in my notes like women waste time. I was like, that's like because it was literally straight up like
Yeah.
Paul was saying, like he's like this isn't directly from God, this is from me, but like it is in the Bible. But he's like he basically was saying like if you can't handle yourself, go get a wife. But he's like if not like there's like it's literally she'll waste time and she'll bring like you like more worldly focus because like you have to focus on her too.
Yeah.
And it's like not a bad thing, but it's like it's so much easier if you're single to do that. And that's what I kind of took. It was
To
like
further the kingdom, it's easier to be single. Yeah.
I was reading that. I was like, okay, I'm fine with I'm not necessarily fine with I was like I do want like a significant other, but it's like
It is
I can use it to focus on God instead of constantly looking at someone else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Once if he wants me to have a wife, it'll happen whenever it happens. I can just focus on getting closer to him.
Exactly.
I mean, they're good in both.
Mhm.
All right. Should I kind of ask a deep question kind of about like free will?
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So I saw this not a while ago, but so it's like we have this is more about right now we have free will, so we get to choose to follow. But then so once you go to heaven, there's how there's no more pain, no more suffering, all that. But like, how would we not have free will technically, or would we have like a memory of the past, maybe like pain? Because they say you can't have pleasure and the stuff without pain. So like in my head, I'm kind of thinking like, in heaven, how would we understand? Because you don't remember really your past life, right? I obviously haven't read.
I haven't read Revelation like that.
So the answer might be in there. So that's just kind of not like a question that like I don't think it's necessarily
maybe
important to
Colin
know
has a
that.
better answer, but I think at the end of the day, when you're in heaven with Jesus in front of you and you're worshiping Him, you don't want to know your past. Like you won't even try to think about it because you're like, that's all I want. You know?
Yeah.
In heaven, in earth, you've been trying all your life to just get only Jesus. Now you're here with only Jesus.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I don't even care about what happened in the past because He doesn't care.
Yeah, that's true.
You're already here. So
I honestly have no clue.
But I would
like it's not necessarily like a thing that like I don't need an answer. You know, it's not one like there's things like it says like we don't understand like and he's a powerful so like he can do anything. So it's like what I understand is that like I can't. How could I understand what this is without having this? But obviously he can do that. So
yeah. But this is also a deeper question. I very much don't know the answer, and it's not like.
And it's okay to say I don't know.
I don't know, but so obviously we have free will.
Yeah.
Did Judas have free will?
I've thought about that a lot.
And that's where I'm like, did he? Did he not? Because it wasn't in the Chosen. It was something I read. It was like Judas had to do that in order for everything else to happen. And so did God just be like, all right, this is when Jesus is going to happen because he knew that it was going to be like that? Or did somehow Judas not have free will and like he was always destined to do that? And I don't know. And it's like it's also like probably thinking too deep into it. Like it doesn't need to be known. But like,
there's that the whole argument of was it predestined to happen or is it free will? Is it actually free will if he knows what we're gonna do?
That's the hardest thing of Christianity, the predestined part.
And I think we do have free will. And the one thing I always think back to is he regretted like he did that and regretted doing it. And in that moment when he hung himself, he could have instead went and asked for forgiveness, and he still would have gone to heaven, but he didn't. At least we don't technically know. It just says he hung himself.
Yeah.
But like he had the opportunity to do that. But like
think about how strong his testimony would be.
Yeah.
If he was just convicted and he was like, all right, I'm going back. And it's like, Jesus saved me. Like,
well, he tried to go back. Yeah. Remember?
As Jesus is on the cross, he's trying to just like, Jesus, I'm sorry. And Jesus said something, bro, that'll be fire. Well, Jesus is like, now he's on cloud nine. He's like, dude. Like,
but he did try to go back and tell them like, he was in it. Like, he was innocent.
This was the wrong person. But he was like already arrested. And I don't know if he was like, in trial at that point. But like,
he was just heartbroken that he like heard the Savior.
You know? Yeah. And I've like asked this, I've like Googled this, like read the Bible and I like prayed about this stuff too. And I feel like I always like I'll find an answer that like makes a lot of sense to me, and then I just forget about it because I don't write it down. So it's like I've asked this question myself a lot about like free will and stuff, and then I'll be like, yeah, like I and then I just don't write it down. So then when it comes up again, I'm like, oh shoot, I need to actually read about this, pray about it. But like ultimately, I just think about everything that if you just think about our lives in general, like those questions don't matter when you think about everything that's happened in your life and the things he's done. You start realizing that like those type of questions don't really matter.
They're almost a distraction.
It's just like kind of a distraction. Like I just think about the people that have been healed, like things in my life that have led to where I'm at. Like it doesn't,
Yeah. I think even if Judas didn't do anything, and like, because it was obviously Judas's free will that got him to betray Jesus. But I think if Judas didn't betray him, there'd be some way Jesus would have gone on the cross, because that was his whole goal. His whole goal was to hang on the cross and die for us so that we could be saved. So regardless if Judas did that or if anyone, like, if time were to go by, someone would have betrayed Jesus. Jesus would have been on that cross regardless, because that was the goal he came down for.
And and the thing is that like too, like with the whole point of too, it could have been like any one of us. Like that's you kind of think about it that way too.
Also, like Judas was he was a disciple.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
There was two. Was there two of them? Two
Judases.
Was the other Judas technically not a disciple?
He was.
No, he was.
Both of them were.
I guess I'm getting confused with disciple and something else.
Well, some of them call it. There's like a couple that are disciple.
It's apostle.
That's what might be wrong.
Well, I think they're technically
they build churches, and that's Paul.
I thought there was only like
well, by definition, I think a lot of them are also.
They're apostles too, but disciple there's only 12.
Well, there's also I can't remember who. One calls himself a disciple as well, but it like kind of is like if you like research, it's like a disciple, but like he kind of called himself a disciple, but he wasn't the original 12.
Paul did. Yeah. Paul called himself. He's like
he was also like doesn't he start like all his letters with like?
I mean, technically, he is in the term disciple. He just wasn't an original 12.
These 12. Yeah. But like he was right there.
I think at least we don't know actually for
Yeah.
sure.
And,
It's
like,
speculation,
now-
but
I obviously like wasn't there in the Bible. Like obviously wasn't there, but it's like you're like Jesus appointed you and you were following him around like this. Like you got close to him. Like you might have not been like boys, like you dapping each other up, all this stuff like constantly, but like still boys. And so it's like you still like you were around him that much, you saw him all these miracles and you still betrayed him. Like that could happen to any one of us. It's like we're obviously following him or all this stuff, but it's
And
like just shows how it's kind of sad, but
some
at the same
people
time, it's like,
use that as like an argument.
Mhm.
They say that if someone like that close to Jesus was able to betray Jesus, then like he's probably not that good in the first place. Which kind of is just like kind of sad to hear that someone would think that, but it's also like I could see that.
Mhm.
But it's just like that comes down to that free will that Jesus gave you.
Yeah.
It's like if he was able to draw you like that, it's almost manipulating you and almost like
Mhm.
forcing you and enticing you to be with him. But that's like them able to leave, but the majority stayed and they devoted their life to him. And kind of crazy. I was like kind of like doing some research on it just because like I like to listen to like YouTube videos like with atheists arguing with like Christians and like how like real
Mhm.
Christianity is. One of the arguments was like one of the guys was saying how Jesus is like mentioned more than Caesar, the ruler at the time, but we believe that Caesar existed. But we're like, oh, there isn't enough evidence for Jesus. But Jesus was mentioned more than the Caesar that we automatically assume that he had to be there, you know. And then it's kind of crazy because like it's like, all right, so if Jesus existed, no way this is a lie because people that hated him initially changed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people that like after he died, they were like there had to be something that happened that caused them to be like, you know, this is actually true. That would make no
And-
sense for someone that always hated him to just like constantly immediately
A
change.
good amount of his disciples like got not necessarily murdered, but like killed for that, and like
Exactly.
in gruesome ways too.
Yeah.
So it's like if you were one of
I'm
these,
not laughing about that.
yeah,
but-
if you're one
Yeah,
of
it
these-
was tough.
if you're one of these 11 now people since Judas hung
Yeah,
himself.
yeah.
And he wasn't this great guy, and he was clearly embarrassed on the cross and all these things, and he didn't raise from the dead. You're gonna go proclaim even more than you ever did before. That this is who he actually says he is, and all this stuff. If
Yeah.
he just got put to death by it, and
They-
they're threatening you with it.
They gained nothing in terms of the world, I guess. They had nothing. Like if it wasn't true, if they didn't actually believe it, they gained nothing from like continuing to like spread a
Yeah.
lie. Like
Exactly.
You know? But I saw like this meme, a video of all the disciples on the fire that Jesus had just died, and they're like, "All right, guys, how are we gonna like keep this going? Like, let's come up with a lie real quick."
Mhm.
And like,
And
but at the
everything's
end, we're
so-
all gonna die brutally, except you. I think
Mhm.
was John the one that doesn't. Who's the one that doesn't die?
John.
He's like, except you, John. And he's like, and like
Because
all of
Jesus
them were
said,
like,
John, you'll be with me whenever I come back.
and they all get like yes, let's do it. I can't wait. And it was just like,
And they all
If you
do
really
it
think-
fully.
yeah. If you think about that though, like back they would have had to just continue the lie would just be there was no reason for them to do it.
Yeah.
Like
It would also been very, very difficult because like
they didn't get money. They weren't.
the way that they were going through it is like it's still all accurate, and especially in that time with like there's not a whole lot of like, hey, we're doing this right. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot. Like they're just going out and doing
Yeah.
what they were told to.
Like, hey bro, like you're not doing it right. Like, you gotta like make sure you're dying for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
like you gotta die for Jesus, bro.
Mhm.
Like, what are you doing? Like, they went separate ways and they were all united to one goal.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't able, like you said, they were able to call and make
Yeah.
sure, like, hey Thomas, are you still doing it? Are you doing like building churches in India, Thomas? Like, no,
Yeah.
they weren't able to like
Mhm.
communicate. So it had to be something else that was hierarchy, like overarching, like in planning it and orchestrating it all to happen.
Yeah.
And
And-
obviously there was.
That kind of reminds me of the people argument. One of the arguments against kind of the Bible is that a lot of it is passed down by word of mouth in the years after things happened or the years apart and stuff. But it's like word of mouth was how a lot of things were spread for a long time until they were written down.
Yep.
And there's so many things we have that accepted as fact in the historical past that was originally like for a long time was only reason it was still here is because it's passed down by word of mouth.
Yep.
And it's like that's how they did it. Like
That's
it's-
just how
and
it
then they
was,
try to use the
yeah.
argument against the Bible. And it's like, okay, well, I can't think of any specific examples, but it's like, do you believe that this, like, well, this is what that said and this and that? It's like, well, that started down out as a word of mouth, like that was passed down for centuries until they wrote it down because writing wasn't always so prevalent or always not everyone knew how to write. So yeah,
Yeah. And it was kind of cool. Like I also did more research on it, like just listening to the YouTube videos, and they were saying how like even people that weren't trying to write about the Bible, they talked about Jesus, and they said that he had dark magic because they saw
Yeah.
him doing miracles, and they assumed it was like some type of like thing with the witchcraft or something. But they said that Jesus did things that was like that involved some type of dark magic. That's what they assumed. Their interpretation was
Yeah.
that. And so it's like Jesus was powerful. He was all knowing. He was just like the things he did, you know, he actually did them. Like the
Yeah.
Bible says, they just see it in a different light. It's so cool to see that.
He did more that was.
Yeah.
We don't even have a whole picture of like
Exactly.
what's in the Bible. We just like he did a lot more like healing and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it was just which is crazy.
The last chapter in John, is it?
That what?
1 second, I'll pull it up.
What are you talking about?
It straight up says that in John 21.
Oh yeah, like
the very last verse in John 21. Now there are also many other things that Jesus did. And then he says, where'd it go? Oh my goodness. It's just literally the next thing.
Keep reading.
I'm going to switch from ESV to NLT because that's part of like the... Jesus also did many other things. If they were all written down, I suppose the whole world could not contain the books that would be written. So it's like
Wow.
it's so many things. And like, obviously, the Bible is the perfect word of God. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't need anything more.
Yeah.
And it's like if someone was like just following Jesus around like they do in the courtroom, typing every single thing he did.
Yeah.
The thing is, Jesus multiple times said, "Don't say anything. Like keep this under the
I wonder how
wraps."
many
Yeah.
times something like that happened. They did.
Yeah, and they actually listened to him. Though.
Uh-huh.
They actually were like, all right, we're gonna keep this under the wraps. But like
Yeah.
multiple times, you see accounts of people just like talking a lot and spreading it, like word of mouth, like you said.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of times I'm sure people were just like, all right, Jesus, I'm not gonna say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Kind of. I just like when we're talking about Daniel, how we're saying sometimes he does things like for you that glorifies him and other people see your testimony. Other times he does it and it's just you and nobody else really has to know about it, and that kind of just reminded me about that. Like sometimes he tells people like don't tell anyone. I guess like it's like this that I don't know. That just kind of reminded me of that, which is cool. Like that was just kind of a connection I had.
I guess I didn't realize this until recently that John wasn't really there for like 95% of the book.
Mhm.
Like anything that not anything, but most of the stuff that was written in John wasn't there. And what John did,
Eyewitness.
he was like, hey, Jessel, you were there when Jesus healed this blind man, right? Yeah, let's go interview and let's I'm gonna write this down.
Yeah.
And so like almost everything were like eyewitness accounts from other people, which like is still
it's valid.
valid.
Yeah.
And that's like
at the
literally,
time.
literally like if we did that today and I was like, if I want to write a research paper and I can't go use sources, like, hey, were you here for this? Yes. Can I interview you? Like that's fully
primary
credible.
source.
And that's
Isn't
literally primary
Because
sources.
secondary would be you using something that the disciples
Yeah.
wrote.
Yeah.
You
And
just
it's
literally went to the
literally
source. He's like, all right, what
all
did you
primary
see?
sources.
Yeah, what did you see?
Yeah.
Fire.
I saw so the Bible, because of how the Bible was written. The New Testament specifically was written around 200 years after, like we
And
have
some were
carbon
sooner,
dating.
and some were
some
a
were
little-
sooner, but like I think the average was around
Yeah.
200 years. And people were like, oh, the Bible's just XYZ, it's not real, it's all this stuff. And then like Plato, Socrates, all these things that people like that though,
Yeah.
that's real. It was like
Or they just trust it without
double, triple, quadruple the amount of like years more than
Yeah.
before like it was said and the time it was written down, and they're like, yes, I believe you, every single thing you say, and like huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
agree.
I don't know what the source is off of that is rating it, but the Bible apparently has an accuracy of 99.5% like accurate, according to like the real world and like everything. And I'm looking up right now. But
That almost makes it seem like something is causing them to want to question it. You know,
Mhm.
something is causing them not to believe it. That
Yeah.
could be just very well be the devil just telling them, just be like, hey, don't believe that. Like that's not true, but
Yeah.
it is the truth. And that's why it's hard for them to kind of grasp it.
Yeah, and like a lot of it is faith. Like
Yeah.
that's just a huge thing with it too.
With anything, honestly, because
Yeah.
like even with science, when it comes to you believing, like for say some atheists believe in the Big Bang, that's like their thing. They say that's the biggest explanation, but it's like they cannot replicate that. They can't make it happen, so it's like they have to have faith in that theory that theory is true.
Yeah.
Whereas we're having faith that some being is out there that is greater than us, and obviously that makes sense because like we don't have anything in this world that's like that being, you know. And so we're like, you know, we're gonna trust that there's a being out there, but I just feel like something coming out of nothing is too far for us to just believe. I feel like, but obviously both take faith. No, none of it has evidence. So
One of the big thing too is like, I mean, I like obviously believe in all of it, but it's like if they ask like, well, what if you're wrong? Well, at least I lived a life that like I still lived not how I wanted to, but how I, you know what I mean? I still lived a life to be like Jesus, and I would have been a good life. But then the question, flip it on them, like, well, what if you're wrong? And then like that's just a lot worse for them than it is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was literally about to mention that too. It's like I don't remember who I heard it from, but they're like, if I am wrong, I lived a meaningful life. I was nice to everybody. I treated everybody how I want to be treated.
You have joy.
I have joy.
Peace,
like all these
love,
things, even if it's in something that
yes.
isn't real.
It's a good
Obviously
life.
it is. It's still a good life.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I still have to go for life.
I died.
I'm dead.
That's it.
I'm dead. I'm in the ground.
Yeah.
But if you're wrong, sure, you might have had fun, wrote all this, but you don't, like, you literally spend eternity now. Yeah. And it's like, first off, they don't weigh the same, but it's also like, I don't even like, honestly, I do care, obviously. It's like, but ignore the other person. Like, look, like, just me. Like, in a selfish way, it's like, if I am wrong, like, I still had an amazing life. Like, everything I have, I lived with a purpose. I had, like, goals. Like, every single thing is, like, it's still good. And sure, like, oh no, I didn't have premarital sex. No, like, that's not, like, the end of the world.
Yeah,
like,
I
and
agree.
it's like,
it's a win-win.
Exactly. And it's like, sure, like, okay, I missed out on XYZ, but like I still lived a fantastic life like that I had. I could be fine
That's
with.
fulfilling and just
like it's not that big of a deal. And then that's where it goes, like, if you're wrong, slightly bigger deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which we're not wrong, but
yeah, exactly. And that's where it's like it's a good argument, but at the same time it's bad because it's like, what if you're wrong? I'm not.
Well,
but like,
I mean, anytime I have any type of like questioning it, it's just like I said before, so many things I just think about that is like, well, how could it not be? Like it's too good not to be true. Like, how could this? Like, I'll be like doubting or something. And I'm like, and I think about just, it's hard to think about it right now, but there's moments where I'm like, it always comes back to, well, there's no way it isn't. It isn't true. Like, it isn't. Like, it's just kind of crazy.
You just come back to your testimonies, the stuff that the guy has done, or like that people say that guy has done. It's like, that does not make sense. Me sitting in my room doing nothing does not make sense that I get money.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just the opposite of what the world teaches you. It's like, go out there, go work hard for it, go get your bread, go, you know, like, you know, go get that. And it's just like, I'm over here just sitting in my room doing nothing, just trusting Jesus. Obviously I've sinned and like messed up and all that, but like, I'm overarching was just like, I'm praying and I'm trusting, I'm leaning on him because I'm like, God, you will provide a way if that's where you want me to be. If college is where you want me to be, you'll provide a way.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense with any science or anything, you know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I know an argument a lot of people say about they don't believe it. Like, if you look at the world and you see like starving kids, you see people getting cancer and stuff, but that's always like hard in the moment to like answer. But like when you just like well, obviously the argument earlier is you can't have that, and you can't experience like full joy, and like the beauty of it is like there's people in those moments that are experiencing through that are experiencing Christ. Yeah. And it's like there's, I don't know how to, like, I forgot what I was gonna say about it, but there's like beauty in not beauty in them, like suffering, and like I don't know how I was gonna phrase this, but like
it's kind of exactly like what Jessel like started this podcast with, like this lady that he was at Fleet Feet. My bad. That like her husband died, tragic, and he like most people would be like in shambles, like, right, 25 years married, like, or 20 years.
20 years,
20 years. Like, that's crazy. Tragic. That's awful.
Her soulmate.
But like, him. It got her. I would assume it sure seems like she's closer to God. Yeah, because of it. And like all these things like happen for a reason, and
like, sin entered the world because of like what we did, what Adam and Eve did, what we all would have done.
Yeah, exactly.
So like that's the reason as well. Like, you know, so like it always comes back to all that stuff too.
The world isn't perfect because of it.
Yeah. And we're still able to find or see Christ and like all of that.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. And when bad stuff like that happens, I feel like testimonies always come out of it. Like you were at the lowest point of your life, but you know, you're still there.
Yeah.
It's just some people choose to, just because bad things happen. Like I feel like I don't know. It's just like if nothing bad ever happened, like we said, then it's not free will, because if everything was always good, you know what I
That
mean?
means
There's
God's
no
almost forcing it to be good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like where it's like God's good. Everything He does is good. So if God's forcing us and manipulating us to do stuff, then it has to all be good, unless He's actually evil in a sense. You know, unless it means that He's evil because if He's controlling us, so then it has to be free will because we are initially our nature is to be evil.
Yeah.
So, so it has to be free will. I agree.
And yeah, I was gonna kind of go back earlier. I thought of this, but it literally only until this year it really hit me. Like you guys know the song not Free Barabbas, I Am Barrabbas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if you're Barabbas is the guy that Jesus basically took his place. Like they voted on if they wanted to crucify Jesus or Barabbas, or who to set free. I mean,
Yeah.
and they set Barabbas free. But honestly, it never really hit me until this year, like beginning of the year at least, when like it was representative of us. Like that should have been us on the cross. We were Barabbas, and he took our place. Like Barabbas was a murderer, a sinner, like the worst of the worst, and he took his place.
I always got mad at Barrabbas. Every time I read the Bible, I was just like, bro, Barrabbas, I hate you, bro. Like, I hate that you like made my savior die. Like the guy that loves me died.
We were the ones that.
But then now reading the song, I'm like, bro, I hate myself. Like, I was getting mad at myself. I did that.
That we're the ones that voted to free Barabbas, and we were Barabbas.
Yeah.
Like we would have voted to kill Jesus, and
we would have laughed too. We'd have been like, haha, you die. I did all this, but I get to live.
Like, and just and with communion, I've done communion my entire life, and I started like crying a little bit in church one day because around the time the song came out, I don't know how I never made a connection, but I was like breaking. Even though they pray it every time you read it, they're like the bread represents his body, and I was like, you break the bread, and I'm like, because his body was broken, like that's literally you're breaking Jesus.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, oh my gosh. And like the blood, like he spilled his blood, and the blood is what saves us. That one, like the body one was the one that kind of hit me. I was like, how did I not like fully understand what this was? I was like, it was just like hit me one time when I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So I saw it was like a picture of what Jesus would have looked like after the cross, because like it was like supposed to be a biblical like accurate picture of it afterwards, and it's like you couldn't even tell that looked like a human.
Yeah, they say you can't. He's beyond recognition.
Because like literally straight up, like people are like, oh, like when you see Jesus on the cross, you see like a dude with a few scrapes, a crown of thorns. It's like he was like brutally, and it's like not only that, but he was living through most of it.
It was saying that people couldn't recognize him.
It's like
just because of how bad it was.
Like if this sounds like bad, like if Jessel were to be put in that cross, or I'll say it, because I don't know. Like if I was on the cross, and like
it's true.
If you couldn't recognize me, I'm dead. Like there's no shot that you're gonna be able to like, oh, he might be still alive. Like if you look at that picture, you're like, that person's not alive, but like he was for literally most of it, right? And like for all of it until he obviously died. So
and then rose again. Mm-hmm. But the whips they used back then, I've seen like there's like it wasn't just like one like whip you think of that goes like this, like because of the lashes he had. Mm-hmm. It's like multiple strings, and there's like I don't know about. I mean, they had glass back then, right? I don't remember if it was, but they had like.
I thought it was like metal. Sometimes
they had like
shards.
What inside, like wrapped around each individual piece was like rocks, sharp shards, like nails, metal. If they had glass, I don't just sharp things, and it would like grab your back and rip it. And the reason it was 39, apparently, this might not be true, but I think it is. They did 39 lashes because like when they would go to 40, that would usually be the one that just killed the person. Because 39 would be. There was like apparently the average or something was like if you did 40, it would usually kill the person. So they literally says it beat him, like he was beyond recognizable. So like it makes sense. They get him, but obviously more things happen to him after that. Like it's just
wow.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of things you can. I saw a video. I'm not gonna talk about it much because I can't remember most of it, and I don't want to say anything wrong. Yeah. There's so many things about how like since we are the body of Christ and like that, like all those like representations and stuff. There's like a lot of things with Jesus dying that kind of just represent us and then represent
How we should be.
yeah, and just like a lot of things like just it all connects. Like it would be hard to imagine that people just like just made it all up.
Yeah.
Like nobody,
It's so,
everything connects back.
so
There's like
accurate.
thousands of cross references.
Yeah.
Like it would be people. All the people that came into it had to be
These are just
a
so
mastermind.
smart.
It had to be
They're
mastermind.
so smart. Yeah. And we know that by the stories that the disciples said in the books that they're not that smart. You know, the stuff that they said.
Yeah.
If they were going to like make up Christianity, then they probably had to make up like they should have changed how they looked in the book. You know, they should have been like, you know, this time Peter didn't say anything. You know,
And none of them made themselves look like amazing.
yeah, no,
Like they were like
there was raw.
like they could have been like it would have been hard to trust their credibility if any one of them would have been like, I was so like amazing and like or like I got so much money from doing this.
Yeah.
Like
And the way
nothing
the Jewish
decredits it.
the way the Jewish culture is that if a rabbi dies, then they just go find another one. That's literally what it is. It's you're the person that you've been serving. Yeah, the rabbi you've been serving, and you're under him, and he's told you to follow you, whatever. You do that, he dies, now you go to another one. There's no like I'm sticking with this one, you know. And they were like I'm sticking with this one because he's true. So
yeah. Oh no, I was about to say something. Oh, slightly topic change. So you know when Jesus died, he had like that cloth that was laid over him.
Yeah.
Apparently, supposedly, they still have that cloth, and so
that's interesting.
And apparently, I don't know how 100% true this is, but I saw several other things saying it was, that he like lit up, like I don't know what state it was like when he was being risen, or like at one point like he glowed, and he glowed so much that like his imprint was on
saw
it.
that, bro.
Yeah.
And so like I saw that, and like so supposedly we have what Jesus would have looked like.
Or he's disfigured.
I don't know when it was, to be honest with you.
I saw that's kind of I've seen that too. It's like I have to.
It doesn't look like a normal person, in my opinion.
It's like hard. I want to believe that, but it's like I don't know. It's hard. Like I hope that could be cool, but it's also like
It's like yeah.
either way, like it's like
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But it's like really cool.
I thought it was interesting and cool.
Yeah. Because it's just so hard now too with things, and not just like that, but anything in general. You see, it's like you just can't know if someone's like just photoshopping it or making it up.
Yeah, and
like,
that's.
I would rather not worship an image because God said not to make any graven images.
Yeah.
So let's not. This is better to just like not even mess with that.
It's cool to be like, oh, okay,
that's cool.
Maybe, but it's like I'm not gonna put it up in my room and be like, yes.
Well, that's the whole thing with the chosen as well. I've heard arguments. There's Bible verses that talk about like, don't create images of me or something. I can't remember the verse exactly, but like I saw a really valid argument about why he said he's not saying some people probably been helped by it, why he doesn't watch it because it says this and that, and then it was just like, and then if you go to the comments on people in the chosen, they're saying my prayer life has increased so much because now I can picture Jesus in my prayers, but they're not picturing Jesus, they're picturing the guy that plays Jesus, and it's like obviously God can use. What?
I forgot what his name is.
I don't know. But this is all the guy that posted is called the Holy Nope. He posts funny videos of people that doing things that say they're Christians, but kind of it's stuff like that. But this was more a serious one it's just something to think about because obviously God can use anything for good or for His will, and lots of people have had good stories and been saved by that. But at the same time, when I saw that verse, I was like, well. I'd have to actually look at the context because sometimes things can take out of context. So I need to go back actually like myself, look at the context. Kind of like with things with tattoos and stuff like that. Usually that's in context of like that church or that they were doing those things to honor other gods, not to honor God.
Yeah.
And those other gods aren't real. Like gods can be anything that you worship that isn't. They want a true God.
I was doing research on that. Like I'm debating on getting one, and someone I don't know how I feel about it. They're like, "Oh, Jesus has a tattoo." I'm like, "Huh?" And so they brought it up the thing of it. It says in Revelation, apparently, when he comes back, he's gonna have the King of Kings on his thigh, and it's gonna be on his thigh and on his robe. But I don't know if that's like a tattoo, if that's like what that is. And I read the verse, and like it does say that. I didn't read any of the context. I was like, "That's weird." I'm actually have to do like full research on this myself and read the entire thing.
Could it be
what
like
it says?
You know how we have the saying like
It doesn't
heart,
say what
heart
it
on your
is.
sleeve? Could it kind of be like a thing like that's just you see him and you know.
Mhm.
Maybe the
It's-
translations are wrong too. It could be something like I don't
Weirdly.
know, it's weirdly translated.
and that's where I was like, this person
Or it could be literally. I don't know.
said that, and I was like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
And I read the
this
verse
is-
and was like,
Does
it's
it say
there.
tattoo though?
It's Revelation 19:16. 19. Okay. Just this one says, on his robe, at his thigh, was written
On his
this
robe.
title: King of all kings, Lord of all lords. That's NLT. Then you go to, I'm like, oh, it doesn't say that. You go to ESV, and it says, on his robe and on his thigh, he has a name written: King of kings and Lord of lords.
On his robe.
Like on his robe. So one says on his robe at his thigh, so like where his robe would come at his thigh.
Yeah.
One says on his robe and on his thigh. It says this. One said like that's what.
Could it be
ESV
on his
says.
robe is on his robe and his thigh and the robe on
Check
the robe
Amplified.
there?
NIV says on his robe and on his thigh. Amplified says.
I think it's just a matter of something of understanding. Like, there might have been something in context of that time. It might have meant
Amplified
something
says
different.
on his
Yeah.
robe and on his thigh. He has a name inscribed: King of Kings, Lord of Lords. So
Because
it's like all
thigh doesn't
but
necessarily.
NLT.
And it says thigh. It says
Or NIV.
robe, and then
Yeah.
thigh doesn't have to mean like. It wouldn't mean like literally,
And-
it could be like it's on the robe and then it's on like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's
There's
on
so
the
many-
cloth. It's on the cloth and not really like on his
Yeah.
skin. Yeah, it's hard
So-
to.
And that's where I was like, I was doing the research and like, yeah, it's okay to have one. Jesus has one. I was like, pause.
That's someone
what?
reaching hard.
And that's where I was like, okay.
I think it kind of goes back to that verse that I can do anything, but not everything is beneficial for me.
Yeah.
And he kind of talks about that. He's just like, you can put a tattoo on, or you can pierce your ears, but like people back then, some people would put tattoos, and that was their way of worshiping their God, showing like their own God idol. Like this is the way I'm devoted to you. And so, is this tattoo going to be beneficial for you? Like
Yeah.
it's like you can do these things. You can eat pork. You can eat all this, but like if this is going to lead someone astray and not believe in
Yeah.
Jesus,
Mhm.
then because you're
That's
the
First
verse that you
Corinthians
were
2.
going to do, you know, you
Yeah.
can say it. You can say
Oh,
it.
mine.
Yeah.
So it'd be not 3 Corinthians. Dude, I am so tired. I need to get some sleep.
Yeah.
It's Colossians.
Yeah.
3:17.
Yeah.
Whatever you do or you say, do it for the Lord.
Yep, exactly. So like it's like you can do anything,
doing it
but
for-
do it
yeah.
for the God, do it for our God, not so like
Yeah.
just make sure you're not leading someone astray, and
Yeah.
just like making them think that you're worshiping some other God. Or
Yeah.
something. So
And that's where I think a lot of people take those things out of context. Is like it says right here, don't do it. But okay, then read the rest of the context. He's telling these people the reason they're doing it
Mhm.
is because of like they were doing it for the wrong reasons.
there's
And
some culture in there that
there's
was
a-
like associated with some type of God.
Because I saw
Yeah.
TikTok live came up and the reason they're trying to disprove that something, I guess they're saying it says in that like no one that like has basically been castrated or something along those lines will not enter the presence of the Lord. I was like, well, that makes sense. So I read all of my versions. I was like, it all says that. But then when you literally, it's literally the exact same as a tattoo. It's because people in pagan tribes were doing things like that to worship their gods, and it's like that's literally just referencing like
Exactly.
if you're not gonna do things that glorify God, then you're not gonna.
Because if you're getting this tattoo to glorify yourself, don't get that tattoo.
Yeah.
If you're getting this ears pierced because you want to glorify yourself, don't get the ears
Yeah.
pierced.
And
That's what I feel like it comes back
And
down
that's where
to.
it's like glorify God with your body.
Yeah.
And like kind of like don't glorify other gods with your body or don't glorify yourself. And it's like if you're getting a tattoo that's glorifying God.
Yeah, then you can get that tattoo.
And yeah, it's like there's still like a thin line where it's like I was like, okay, I might get this, and like the only other tattoo I was other than like Bible related ones I was ever gonna debate getting is like my children's birthdays. And I was like, is that considered like worshiping your children? And so I was like, I'm gonna have to like
You look at
researching
your heart.
that, like fill my heart, like fill what the Holy
Where
Spirit's
is it
saying and
coming
stuff like
from?
that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we'll wait. like,
Yeah.
I'm not like, yes, I'm gonna get this. I'm like, if I get one, it's gonna be stick with one for a while. And
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. There was also like a.
What time we start?
Like 5:55 ish.
Oh dang.
We can wrap it up because I have some
Yeah.
stuff I say.
So,
I don't know how to wrap it
anything
up.
else? Is there anything else we want to talk about? Say.
Well, I'll just say this before we wrap it up. I don't know how we can wrap it up from here, but I was gonna say like people get mad. They're like, oh, if your God's so loving, why would He destroy all these nations, right? All these people that because he was like got the Israelites to destroy like Canaanites and all of them, but like the reason why our God is so gracious, He gave them 400 years to repent. He gave these people 400 years, and what these people did was to their God, they would there's like an iron statue, and so what they would do is they would make it really hot. Like this iron statue is cooking, right? It's really hot, and what they would do is they would take babies, infants, after they've been born and put it in the God's hand. The God would just basically hold it and would burn these babies alive, right?
Wow.
And this is a way of sacrificing to their God and saying that God would devote it to you. And so what they would do is they would play like loud music and all that, so the parents can't hear the baby crying. And this is what they did like for 400 years. And our God is so gracious and He's so merciful that He was like, they're gonna change. They're gonna change. And He gave them chances to change, but they didn't. And so you don't see the complete picture of why our God like finally was like, all right, this is why whenever the Israelites came, God was like, don't let anyone survive. Just destroy that whole entire thing. Don't keep their women. Don't keep their kids. Like just destroy everything because He just wanted that to go away. He was so like I feel like He was just like so disappointed and just grossed out by that. Like you would just kill babies like that. Like like and there's so many different ways that people did things to honor their gods.
Yeah.
That you're just like that. I'm sure God was just like really like just heartbroken from that. So that's why that's why God was telling them to be like almost ruthless in a sense.
Yeah.
But it was like there's so much of the story that you missed. That 400 years where God was like, I'm being merciful. I'm giving you grace. I'm giving you grace.
And now Jesus paid the price for our sins, so it's like we don't have to worry about like just that type of stuff. Like just wiping us out again in that way.
Yeah,
right?
Jesus has given us grace and mercy, and now the final judgment is not from the Israelites coming and conquering us, but it's from Jesus coming back.
Yeah.
So that's where we have to like kind of like live our life for Jesus, because otherwise we'll be like those people, those Canaanites.